Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Nullified Take channel on YouTube, where we've got the TNT takes for a very impromptu live here today. Both myself and Kahuna, the stars have aligned for us. We both have some free time, and there's been so much news out there in the reality TV world that I said to him, why not jump online and instead of having this conversation offline, let's talk to each other with all of our loyal listeners, the people that talk to us weekly about these shows. Kahuna, how you doing?
Very good, sir. Got a couple of days off and get to take full advantage that we can do stuff during the day when the sun's shining, and our US counterparts can do it at a time when it's nice and cozy for them in the evening. So worlds aligning. We've got New Zealand, we've got Australia, we've got different time zones, we've got everything going to discuss the news today.
Yeah, finally people can start coming after us directly for the very cold takes, according to the cold takes that we've had this season for the challenge.
Yeah, they definitely come after me, that's for sure.
I think a little bit of both. Chris, welcome to the live stream, saying that she's going to blame us if she doesn't get that full hour's worth of sleep. I'm sorry, Chris. But it's going to be worth it. That's all I'm going to say. It's going to be worth it because we'll have some more spicy takes for everybody to get upset about in the next hour or so. Saying hello to both of us. Christian Gal saying hello. And Baby Ice. Baby Ice, is great to have you back and alive as well. Baby Ice, you wouldn't know this, Kahuna, was my coach probably 2 seasons ago for All-Stars, when we did the All-Stars draft. And then, he dropped me for the latest season, and Chris had to take over and became my co-coach, I should say, for the last team that I selected. Dabu, welcome back in the live stream as well. Great to see you as well. There's a lot that happened this week, Kahuna. I think one of the first things I want to talk about, and this might not be relevant to some of the people that I see here in the live immediately, but bear with me for a few seconds or a minute or two just while I talk to all of our Australian Survivor fans. There's some great news for Australian Survivor fans that follow this channel. We will have a Sneaky Steve interview. And Mucky did make an appearance for about 5 minutes towards the end. People are going to love it because we all know that Sneaky Steve is Mucky's favorite Survivor player of all time, Kahuna.
He must have been so stoked. Was he just fangirling? Like, I'm surprised he could even talk, really.
Yeah. He did put 2 or 3 sentences together. It was a lot of fun to see him ask questions to Stevie, being starstruck. Because, for me, I kind of take it for granted. I've had the opportunity now to talk to a few celebrities, you could say, or reality TV stars for Survivor South Africa, Australian Survivor. I've had the Challenge Connor, which that interview still needs to come out. Hopefully after this week we can get that greenlit. So I've had an opportunity to talk to a few people, but the first time I ever spoke to anyone was with Chantal from Reality Realness. Hello. And we spoke to Rob Bentelli. One of the legends of Survivor South Africa. That was my first ever time meeting a Survivor player, and I was very starstruck the first time that happened as well, Kerner.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine if I got to interview and talk to a lot of my favorite reality stars, I'd probably be feeling the same way, to be honest, as well.
Yeah. Dabu says he saw a Paulie pick and had to watch. We'll definitely talk about Paulie very soon. Baby Ice, the second biggest Tory fan after me is Chantal. Yeah, I don't think Chantal loves Tory all that much. But listen, there's a lot of stuff that happened. So just closing off an Australian Survivor, we're going to have the Sneaky Steve interview. I'm not too sure how many other interviews I've got lined up at this stage because it is down to the players if they're happy to come on and talk now that the season is done. There is no obligation for them to do so, but I have been talking to about 2 or 3 other players. So who knows? There may be a few more that will come up in the next week or so as well. Swiftly moving on to the first bit of news here that I wanted to get into before we get into the challenge, because the challenge is going to be juicy. So it's going to be worth the wait for those that came only for challenge content. But we had this gem of information drop on Inside Survivor this week. And I'm not too sure if you're aware of this, but it says Survivor's looking at becoming bigger than ever for its 45th season, as the show is set to increase its episode length. While not 100% confirmed, several Inside Survivor sources have claimed Survivor 45 will be expanding to 90-minute episodes. This is for more than just the premiere. Each episode is set to be 90 minutes with the usual 3-hour season finale. Survivor has aired 60 minutes since the premiere in 2000, but an episode length increase has been in the works for quite some time. Host and executive producer Jeff Probst has made it no secret that he prefers the 90-minute episode structure. So I'm not going to read through the whole article, but if you want to see more of this, go and check out Inside Survivor. Go support them. Martin Holmes is a very credible source that normally spoils Survivor seasons and gets it right, Kahuna. What's your first instincts and thoughts about Survivor moving to a 90-minute episode moving forward? Do you think it's overkill, or is this exactly what the doctor ordered?
I don't think the length of the episode is the issue, because there needs to be the content to fill it, right? And I'm sure they film 24/7, so there's plenty of film on. Yeah, they got plenty of footage to go through, but is there enough to be able to craft a story? Like we see in Australia, we have 2 to 3 episodes a week, sometimes up to 90 minutes each as well. So we're talking about 4.5 hours, but it's also a much longer game, more competitors. There's more in there to be able to take away and carve and make a better show and utilize that full time. So is it going to remain the 26 days, the fast version, the 3 tribes of 6, and then still be 90 minutes? I don't know if that works, or if it would be better to go back to the traditional 39 days and have the longer format for the longer episodes, and they might be able to actually get more out of it. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, relative realness, Chantal here asking, will it go back to 39 days? I read through this article. There was no talk about the actual days getting longer. My theory personally is that Jeff Probst has liked working less for the same amount of money. And that's why he, I mean, you can't blame the guy. He's like thinking to himself, his dollar per day has gone up since he's moved to 26 days. Has it been a better product? Hell no. I definitely want to get them moving back to 39 days. But what I do like about 90-minute episodes is that there is no chance for them to have an excuse not to give us the intro package at the beginning of the episodes anymore, which fans have been missing. It's one of the great things about Australian Survivor being longer episodes. We still get to see that. And there's really no excuse for them when it comes to giving us better tribe dynamics and social interactions at camp, the things that we love, like the things that we keep raving about, that we think is what Survivor is meant to be about. But the one thing that I am fearful of, and Chantal brings it up here, is what are we going to be watching? Idle hunts and journeys every week? I do have a collaboration coming up with Once Upon an Island, who's also got a YouTube channel for those that follow Survivor. And we're talking about how to fix Survivor. And we may talk about a little bit of what you're mentioning there. I don't want to give too much away, but I do think, that's going to be an interesting one to keep an eye out for. But I'm hoping we get more quality, not just quantity, Kahuna, and that Jeff doesn't continue, because I feel like Jeff thinks that seeing people go crazy and having them in this hamster wheel where you just spin it faster and faster is entertainment.
Yeah, and maybe he's just thinking this is more crazy twists we can do. This is more production interference that we can do. This is more stuff that we can get our hands on and play a part in, rather than letting the survivors figure it out. But it could be the opposite as well. Maybe it does mean that they've seen the success of Australia. They know that. Like, I know you're saying, I would be the same as well. If I was Jeff Probst, I'd be like, I can work 26 versus 39, we'll get paid the same amount. Sure, I definitely want that. But if they're looking for the integrity of the show, if you will, like, not that, massive corporate conglomerations like CBS are worried about that sort of thing, but if they're worried about the integrity of the show, what their fans want, seeing the success that Australian Survivor does with that different format, maybe they'll switch back to it. We're going to find out, but we're going to find out. But for us at home, to me, anything with more Survivor is usually a better thing for me. So I'm hoping that it means a better thing for the end product as well.
Yeah, 100%. Chris says here there may be a writer strike coming up in Hollywood, so I think CBS needs to expand reality TV shows to full time. I've also heard that some of the shows that aired after Survivor on CBS are not doing well. They're not getting volume of people watching them. So expanding a show that is still holding on to some viewership may be a strategic move by them as well. Also, Reality Realness here saying, how to fix Survivor? Be more like Australian Survivor. Yes, please. Just edit 4 people the whole season, Kona, and let us not know anything about everybody else.
It sounds like he's complaining about a hell of a season, actually. Like they do what they do, but we love it, don't we? I've said
I've got a hate-love relationship with Australian Survivor. I see the good, but I feel like a lot of fans at the moment have got like rose-tinted glasses on, and they're just looking at like this season, I don't want to spoil anything for anyone who didn't watch it. We were lucky that one of those 4 big characters ended up doing extremely well. What if those 4 entertaining characters don't do well next season and we are left with all of the boring characters at the end? We end up with a blood versus water season where people can't carry the show. So again, my critique to Australian Survivor is cast better. Give us more entertaining people on the show.
Yeah, that's not the edit though, right? Like
No.
That's the cast. Yeah, like I'm like the people that are complaining about having everyone get a fair edit. I'm like, wow, I really wish I got my Shani episode that last season of Australian Survivor. You know what I mean? Like giving everyone a full fair edit can sometimes be counterintuitive. It's more boring to give a whole focus on a character that is going to be there for 2. Imagine if Fraser got
blame casting, not the editors.
Exactly
is the main thing here.
They're doing the best with what they've been given. I think they're playing the hands they've been dealt and crafting and formulating and making a great TV show out of sometimes poor casting. So.
Well, he's saying I don't watch Australian Survivor. Does it have a good format? It does. There is some things with Australian Survivor. Sometimes they can be annoying, like non-eliminations. But in general, it's definitely. I mean, it goes for a lot longer. It's got a lot more screen time. It's got very big characters on the show as well. And one thing I will say, Australian Survivor absolutely beats Survivor US at is tribal councils. Like it has got some of the most exciting tribal councils you'll ever see. You know, like how in Survivor in the new age, you kind of get to tribal council and you're bored and you don't really follow what's going on because you kind of already know what's going to happen or you've got like a vague idea. Jeff doesn't really get much from people in tribal council anymore. Survivor Australia is completely different. Like, you know, people's games blow up at tribal council. Big moves get made. There's live tribal councils almost every week. And I feel like people play a lot harder Kahuna for some other reason in Australia.
Man, they even get action on the mat before a challenge. There's like stuff being turned out, people getting dunked on while standing there, and JLP is just happy to let it go. So yeah, there's always something happening. They still have 3 episodes of an hour and a half, and there's plenty there with 4 people getting the edit. So like, if that's like, imagine if the US did the same sort of thing and filled it with these people that can bring that across, then yeah, like 90 minutes is going to be nothing as long as they've got the content to fill it.
Yeah, I'm trying to say people passing idols to challenges, which is insane. Seeing talk across tribes, like we kind of saw in 44 now this season with Claire trying to talk to Matthew, but both those players are no longer in the game. That was interesting and fun to see. Jay saying he hopes that American Survivor premieres will still be 2 hours though, because 90 minutes isn't enough for a premiere. I agree. But I would still take that if we can get 90 minutes for all the episodes. You know, I think it will kind of balance out in the long run, really. But let's get into the news that I know a lot of people are very excited about and probably saw the thumbnail there of a Mr. Caleb Fury. We know that he's rumored to be on this next season. The official cast for the second installment of the Challenge USA has been leaked. We've got a picture of everybody there together. And let's briefly go through some of these people. Alyssa Lopez from Big Brother 23. She was on the last season of the Challenge USA. Are you surprised to see her back?
Not really. Like, I think she had a pretty good showing, didn't she? Like, she seemed okay in challenges. She was a pretty big character. She had that thing where she's like really tiny and small and maybe physically disadvantaged. But in the dailies, I think I remember her doing pretty good. The fact that I'm saying I think I remember means that she didn't really like dominate the show for me, obviously, in my memory, but I do remember her standing out and having a pretty good season as far as I can remember.
Well, it's interesting because her biggest storyline last season was going up against the people who wronged her in Big Brother 23 and taking revenge on that. So I'm kind of wondering what her storyline is going to be this season. People who are in the life might know a little bit more about some of the personal stuff and relationships she's got coming into the season. But I also like the dynamic between her and Tyson that season. They had a really fun dynamic when they were teamed up together, which was hilarious to see play out. But overall, I mean, I don't hate it. I kind of think Alyssa falls into the type of casting that they do for the challenge pretty consistently. Alyssa Snyder from Big Brother 24. This is kind of where I stopped watching Big Brother. I didn't really follow Big Brother after 23 all that much. I watched a little bit of the beginning of Big Brother 23 and a little bit of the beginning of Big Brother 24, and I lost interest both times. I don't remember much of her, but Chris is saying I'm happy for Alyssa, but not Alyssa S, stay-at-home girl. Because I've remind me if I'm correct. Is she one of the girls who went after Taylor that season and was like a kind of like a bully to her? Was she one part of the Mean Girls? I feel like she may have been part of the Mean Girls there in that season. You don't watch Big Brother, right, Kona?
I don't, not since 2002 or something, with the Australian version of Sarah Marie doing the bum dance. That is a reference that went straight over most of your viewers, but there's about 3 people in Australia that probably got exactly what I meant right then, Chris. Just for them.
Dub is saying Alyssa does have Tyson and Angela protection for the previous season. Chris, yep, she did go after Taylor. I remember that. Yeah, so I'm not too excited to see her. Willie, Alyssa didn't do much in her season. She was a floater. Yeah. But here we have a very familiar person coming back on this season in Amanda Garcia. I'm a big Amanda fan, Kahuna. Like, I like what she brings to the show. Yeah, I like what she brings to the show because, again, she is spicy. And I like people being spicy on the show. I don't know if I like MTV players coming over to the USA because one of the things I've really enjoyed about the Challenge USA was the fact that they've used it as a way to bring new players into the family that can then translate over to the showpiece where you bring the legends in. So I don't know how I feel about that, but I can't blame Amanda for saying yes to coming out for the season.
No, definitely not. I mean, Amanda should take every opportunity she gets and get paid, but I don't understand the casting here myself. I'm not a big Amanda fan. I think she's growing on me in recent years as my viewership of the challenge and reality TV in general has become more meta over the years. So when I first was watching Amanda earlier on, I always just had that thing of like, nah, she's a bitch. She's not good at this. I don't like her. Get away. And that very like childlike thing of like, she's bad. No like, go away. But over time, you start to appreciate the villains for what they actually bring to a show as characters, as people that make havoc and make TV rather than just completely boring. So I get that she does bring that element very, very well. It's kind of what she does the best. I'm just not a personal fan of her, but I appreciate that she can really kind of throw a spanner into the works for any season. Being on USA though, I don't get it because she's so like, if there's a difference in tone and vibe between the different versions of the challenge, she is 100% MTV version, flagship version. She's the messy drama, not necessarily the big physical threat, not necessarily the big strategic threat, but she is going to just cause waves. She's going to get in under people's skin. She's going to have a lot of drama following her and surrounding her. And I don't know if that was the vibe they want for the USA version versus the MTV, but we're going to get it because she's there. And I'm excited to see what she actually does again. Like, it might be like on a different sort of track, but like when Turbo, for example, is just so intense and it puts off people. It's like, you're just too much, man. You're coming on way too strong. Take a chill pill, learn to take a joke. I wonder if Amanda will have a similar, like, just a lot for some of these people that aren't from the challenge environment. And then you just get Amanda being Amanda. And it might be fun to watch how that plays out, I think.
That's going to be half of the excitement, is seeing people from these different shows that all play the game very differently, go up against each other. I mean, that's literally what we're seeing now on the Challenge World Championship. It's just a different way of playing the game. There is no right or wrong way, really, in my mind. It's just, what is the meta for that season? And I think Amanda coming in, like everybody here in the live has said, is going to be exciting because she's going to bring some entertainment. She's going to bring some drama, some spiciness to it. I also agree with Willie's comment here that she saved season 37 because season 37 was pretty freaking boring without Amanda there. So I'm here for it. I endorse this Amanda return. And I'm similar to you. I don't think I would have said that back in Final Reckoning when I first met her. That was my first season watching, and I was like, I don't know who this girl is. She's a bit out there. But let's move on to Amira Jones. She's also from Big Brother 24. From my memory, she was friends with Alyssa and was in that whole club that it was like the Mean Girls Alliance. So I don't really know what to expect from her this season. I don't know if she's good at challenges or anything like that. But one thing we do know is that the challenge likes bringing on Big Brother contestants to the show, Kahuna. So we're constantly getting that. So clearly, whatever Casey and Fessy and those guys have been doing, they've been loving it.
And they've kept them as like primary cast members for back to back seasons. Like between Casey, Fessy, Josh, Amber, And I guess even before that, we're going to get into Paulie, but the Big Brother well has proven, fruitful for the challenge so far in their casting, more so than, you know, at least the European sort of track that they've been going down and that sort of thing. Big Brother's proven to be quite, a good place to find cast members.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. I like when they go globally, but if we're going to have the Challenge USA, it's got to be from the US. It makes sense, right? So you're going to get more of the other reality TV stars coming in. Baby Ice says, sounds like her and Amanda could make a great team. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Amanda would probably work with the Mean Girls. I could see that sort of coming together and be a thing this season. Here's someone that's a bit of a fan favorite, Cassidy Clark from Survivor 43. Now, I know that you didn't watch the previous seasons of Survivor. Survivor 43 and 42 is like a blind spot for Kahuna because he lost faith in it after 41. And I've got him back. I've got him back from the age of extinction.
I will watch
Survivor
that
44.
before USA starts. I will go through 42 and 43 just because I have to. It's that shameless. It's like the movie on your all-time top 10 that you've just not watched or gotten around to. 42 and 43 will be conquered very soon, I'm sure.
I just want to bring up Reality Realness comment here saying, I think it's because most of the Big Brother players are recruits and likely thirsty for some fame. Their schedules are always open. And I agree with that. And they're also people that the veterans can easily manipulate and string along, where I think Survivor's proving that they're out there. They're a lot more individualistically focused. They want the bag. They want to go get the money like Danny this season. And that's what I find exciting. So I want to see more Survivor players make their way. So happy for Cassidy to come in. Cassidy was the fallen angel last season for a lot of people. She was someone that a lot of people thought would win the season. I personally never was on the Cassidy hype train. I, until the end, didn't think she was going to win. And I wasn't surprised she didn't win because she did take a bit of a back seat. But there's a lot of people that swear by her social game. And she did have a decent social game. She had a lot of different connections. So I think that's going to be very powerful. And she was good at the immunity challenges. So I think having Cassidy there is going to be exciting. And I'm excited to see her. She didn't piss me off last season. She wasn't one of those people where I was like, just because I didn't think she was a worthy winner doesn't mean that I don't think she deserves a shot in the show. And I know that at least half of the people out there will fight me on it to the death and say that she is a worthy winner for last season. So I like to see Cassidy out there. I'd like to see what she can do this season. Let's have a look and see what everybody is saying. Chris is saying, I'm so happy for Cassidy. She is here for her revenge. See, there we got it. Chris is a big Cassidy fan. Double think Big Brother will run season like Survivor did last season. Could be because there's a lot of Big Brother players this season. Big Brother players are more easy to manipulate than Survivor players. Agreed. Christina, welcome. Chris, Kahuna, Chantel, and friends. Yep. Chantel is in the live. I try to get her on, but she's like, it's past my bedtime, but I'll be in bed watching you and commenting on the stream. It was a very last minute impromptu live stream as well, so I don't blame her. Now, this is a person that I never thought we'd see back on our screens. Chris Underwood. Do you remember Chris Underwood, Kahuna?
The shortest playing winner in history, I think it was, isn't it? He was the one that came back and right at the end and then won.
Pound for pound, the most successful Survivor player in the history of the game because he had the fewest days in the game but won it. And listen, he won it based on his challenge prowess because he had to go and beat out all the other players on the edge of extinction to get back into the game, and then had arguably one of the best in games, making every single correct decision as he took out his competition to win that season. But very controversial winner. A lot of the times when people rank Survivor winners, they rank him right at the bottom due to the nature of how he won that season. So I feel like, Kahuna, Chris is going to have a chip on his shoulder. And I do think he has some social game. I do think he could go out there and be underestimated and potentially could do well on this season.
In that, that the Venn diagram of where the challenge crosses over with Survivor, in that middle section where that crossover is, I feel like is a good spot for him. It's like when you say it's challenge, right? If he's good at immunities and that's how he kind of got through to the end, then that is the main crossover bit with the challenge. It is more physical, less strategic, the more dominant players, and he was a physical. He's a physical player. He's an athletic guy that I think has had enough sort of I guess the problem is that this can go either way, right? Being 38, season 38, being a few years ago now, He's sort of had enough time where he's not in the spotlight. He doesn't, but he's not going to have any target on his back either, right? He's underestimated as a winner. He doesn't have like recency bias where people go, "Oh, I remember him from Survivor. He's going to be really good," or etc. But then on the opposite side of the track, he's probably got no relationships coming in as well. He wouldn't be able to pregame. He wouldn't have any sort of connections because his season is isolated. And quite long ago in the recency bias that is, the challenge.
I think him and Michelle know each other. I'm pretty sure as winners, okay, they would have hung around the same people. Michelle socializes like no one else's business. So I think he may have some people, and I do think Survivor will, to a degree, stick together because it worked really well for them in the Challenge USA Season 1. But I agree with Sandy's take here. Finally, we're going to see his gameplay, and I'm positive it's going to be better than Ben's. And yeah, listen, Ben's been doing Ben this. He's been doing Ben bombs, and it's not. I don't know how it's going to work out for him by the end of this season. So I agree with that. Also, just wanted to bring up Chris's comment here saying your Gabler take is by far my least favorite take of yours. # Team Cassidy. I know not everybody agrees with it, but I stand by it. I saw Gabler's when I saw the move that he made in that season. Plus, for those that are here, Mr. Mike Gabler himself will be a guest on the podcast this week as we talk about the latest episode of Survivor. So it's really exciting to have a former winner, in fact, the reigning champion on the channel to come and talk to us about this latest season of Survivor. And I can tell that he's just a fun character, really kooky. When we like doing the emails and stuff back and forth, I can just tell he is that person that we saw out on the island, being a bit of a character. So I'm excited to see what he has to say about this season. Reality Realness is saying, Chris Wynn ruined the season for me. I ended up getting spoiled for the vote reveal, and I didn't even bother watching it at the reunion. I agree. I watched it, but I will never ever be a fan of someone getting voted out in Survivor and coming back and winning. That doesn't mean I hate Chris. Don't hate the player. Like, I think Chris is a nice guy, and I think he could be a good player this season. But the way that he won that season wasn't exciting for me. Christina saying, as long as he's an antagonist against the vets, I don't care who he is. Never saw his season. Again, give him a fresh. This is a new game. It's a new game, right? So we don't know how he's going to play. Even if you saw his season, you would barely know who he is. So true. All right, next person coming back from Survivor 42, Chanel Howell. Now, you didn't watch Chanel's season either. Chanel was one of those players. I'll have to admit, I remember her opening package and thinking, man, I would get along really well with her because she's a recruiter, and my job for the last 6 years have been dealing with recruiters. Like, we do recruitment technology that help people employ, new employees to businesses. So I kind of get the vibe of how recruiters are. And I thought, she was going to be really good because you kind of want to recruit people to your alliance while you're out there, right? You got to sell yourself. And she was in a very explosive alliance that sort of fell apart very early on in the game, got her outside of the numbers, and then had to play from the back the whole time, went very early at the merge, didn't really get a chance to fully show us what she's made of strategically. But I do think Chanel has got a lot of potential. And I do think Chanel, in my opinion, hot take here, I think she's going to do better than Chantel did on the Challenge USA Season 1. So I've got high hopes for Chanel going forward. I know you probably don't have much to add for her because you didn't see a season, Kahuna, but I'd be very interested to know, and everybody in the live, let us know, what do you think of Chanel coming into this season? Do you think my take about her potentially doing better than Shan this season is a cold take, or is it a hot take? Because
how is she physically?
I think she's going to do well. She's fit. Yeah, she's physically fit. I think, personally, we knew that Shan coming into the Challenge USA had some health issues, medical issues with her joints and stuff like that. I remember her talking about it when she played Survivor 41. But Chanel doesn't have any of that. So she's physically capable. I think she's pretty smart as well. But again, it's one of those players that just didn't get enough of an opportunity. Willie says Chantal got potential and she could win dailies. Chanel, yeah. I'm surprised she didn't win with High. Yep. Never saw his season either. Yeah, Christina, again, the Survivor players that they're choosing this time, I feel like are not the superstars that we saw from the first season. It's people who had potential but didn't fully get it on their season. So they may be a bit more hungry, but strategically, can they dominate and hold the season like the Tysons and the Dannys and the Sarahs of this world? The jury's still out. The jury's still out on that. Moving on to next Mr. Corey, one half of the Young Bucks, or 1/3, I should say, of the Young Bucks, coming back. Not so young anymore, Kahuna, but he said he wanted to take a break from the challenge. But that break was not very long-lived. He's back here for this season.
I mean, it's probably been about, by the time it's filming now, they just left. It's probably been nearly 12 months, right?
Probably,
that's a break.
yeah.
Like
Yeah, I guess so.
That's a bit of a break. Mr. Teen Mum himself. So I like how they've got him down as real world explosion as opposed to just Teen Mum as his main show now. They should just put Teen Mum for Corey. That's like his thing. I don't. Tori, are you a big fan of Corey?
Yes and no. Like,
Okay.
it's with both him and Nelson. Like, I feel like sometimes I really enjoy what they bring to the show, and then sometimes I'm just like, I've seen it all. Like, I feel like Corey and Nelson are there because the production team know what they have in them, and they know that they're going to get solid content. With, like, together they were really good because of their friendship, and Nelson sort of, giving his game up for Corey, and Corey's got this game that he wants to win, and he's physically capable, but it's like mentally they both struggle mentally, and they're not good strategically. So I'm kind of in that position where I love seeing them back because of familiarity, but I'm also kind of like, what can they bring to the game that's new? Like, is Corey the guy you want out there teaching newbies how to play the challenge? Is he going to give them the best mentorship into the challenge, is what I'm sort of asking Kahuna.
No, absolutely not. For me, Corey, I like Corey better as he's gotten older, which unfortunately means he's also gotten more boring as a parent, and he's calmed down.
But he's become a better human being, though.
He's become a better human being, but worse on TV. But I also I think Corey is such a waste of potential. Like, as far as a challenge career goes, when he came in as Team Young Buck, he looked like he could have been that next Bananas, and they were trying to take them on. He's physically capable, but for whatever reason, it's been a long time. I think he's had 8 seasons or something, right? He's just not been able to tie it together in any sort of real successful fashion. When you're talking about that many seasons, he should be now being mentioned along the likes of a Wes and a Bananas and a Jordan and a CT, because in their first however many seasons, they were already elevated to a certain status. He's still a B tier player in the challenge. He's still, unfortunately, yeah, that that was when Corey was probably at his best as far as physical goes. But if it's he just doesn't have the, I don't know, like the killer instinct, the clutch gene, whatever it is. He is physically capable. He's good at building relationships. And on a show like The Challenge, when he actually gets in with his friends, he's got his best buddy by him all the time. He's got groups that no one actually targets him. It's not like he's a Jordan or a Bananas in terms of having people looking at him. He's always with friends, and he still doesn't win. Right? He still has people around him that he can work with, and he still doesn't win. So get him on a show like this without the same connections, where he is, rightly or wrongly, probably incorrectly, going to be looked at by some of these competitors as one of the legends on the same level, because they're bringing these MTV guys. They've got Bananas coming in. They've got Tori coming in, who's a winner and currently a legend on the World Championship.
Whoops, we might have lost Kahuna there. I'm hoping, Willie, that you're right about this. I'm really hoping we see Corey target Bananas this season, because that could reignite a little bit of that Young Buck energy that we saw back in the day. So I'm hoping you're right on that. Moving on from Corey, because, Corey, like, even that last season he was in, he wasn't really a part of the main story. He was just there. And I've got a fear that he might just be there again, unless he does go after the vets and maybe try and work with some of these rookies. That would be an exciting storyline to see. But another person I'm not like overly excited to see come back this season is Darrell. Like, I feel like we've seen so much of Darrell recently. Like, he's pretty much been on our screen since the Challenge All-Stars 1. The All-Stars 1 have probably done a lot to reinvigorate his challenge career, and it brought him back into like a mainstay of the show. But I kind of feel like we've seen it all now. Unless Darrell goes out, I know he's on the Challenge USA, and I don't know where he's going to finish. Unless he comes out and he wins that. Like, what can Darrell still give us at this stage, Kahuna? Like, do we need Darrell out there in this season with the Challenge USA?
I'm a big NBA fan, basketball. one of the commentators that enjoy. His name is Jalen Rose. He has a catchphrase that he likes to shout out very loudly and enthusiastically, which I enjoy every time I hear it. And it goes, "Keep getting them checks." Some of the older players.
Yeah, I don't hate on him. I don't hate on him. Like, he's got
the
to
older
get that
players
bag.
in the NBA that just keep coming back season after season. They're not playing. They're not really contributing. They're not really making win, but they're on the roster and they've got that spot. Keep getting those checks, Darrell, because Darrell, now he's getting on every single iteration of the show. He was on Ride or Dies. He's on the World Championship. He was on All Stars. And now he's getting on USA. And a few seasons ago, when he sort of made his comeback, and he was like, I need to do this so I can win money. I got a family. I got kids. I need to support them. I want to win. Now he's like, I don't even need to win. I just need to turn up. And I just need to keep coming back. Yeah, get paid. This is his job now, full time. And I don't blame him for it. It's a fun way to do it, especially on the All-Star season. It's 3 weeks or whatever, as opposed to 6 weeks or whatever the case may be. Go for it, Darrell. Happy to have him there. He's a nice guy. He's going to make good TV. He's just not going to do anything to like change the game, you know what I mean? It's not going to be a fun,
not be exciting
season.
or innovative or anything like that. Christina is saying Darrell love as a person, but I agree. Yeah. Baby Ice says he's the male version of Anissa, popping up everywhere, except I think he's more likable than Anissa. Dabu is saying Darrell about to fence it 5 consecutive seasons. It's going to be a new record. Let's move on swiftly to Desi Williams. I'm a big Desi fan. Love Desi from the first season that she played Survivor. I thought she did extremely well last season, her first season on the challenge. She's a physical competitor. What I love about the fact that Desi went on to the Challenge USA is suddenly, Kahuna, she's a lot more active, even on the YouTube online communities. I see her popping up, talking to Bryson Wendell quite a lot. She's been on Tyson's podcast. You know, she's just back on the, she's back on the radar, and the challenge has reinvigorated her career and has brought her back from the edge as well this season or last season.
Good. I'm all for it. 100%. I loved her on her season of Survivor, and last season, I think she was the biggest, like, I guess, not rip off, like it's part of the show, but for her to go out the way she did on the final with, was she with Enzo or Dominic?
Enzo, I think.
Enzo, whoever it was.
Chris is saying, thrilled to have Desi back. Enzo screwed her over.
Yeah, there you go. So, thanks, Chris. Just completely like ruining her chances and taking her out of the game well before she was ready. And she was looking like she could have done something pretty spectacular in that final, I think.
Yeah. It's one of the reasons I feel like when you get to a final, and the whole season, the point of the whole season was that there was no solid partnerships. You were doing this algorithm, which, by the way, I hope the algorithm doesn't come back this season because I hated it. I don't trust the production team to do that fairly. They have not proven themselves to be trustworthy at this stage. But, having the whole season be loosely, you're going to work with this partner, then you're going to work with that partner, to then suddenly your life in the game is tied to your partner in the final, I feel like it's so unfair. They should have just allowed for her to continue on without Enzo, in that case. But happy to have her back on our screens. The next person, are you an Amazing Race fan, Kahuna? I don't know if you've ever watched The Amazing Race.
I am. I'm a big fan.
All right. So did you see his season?
I don't remember. I don't remember now.
So his season was the season that took place when COVID was on, and halfway through it, they had to stop the game, and they had teams coming back, and half of the teams ended up falling out due to the fact that they couldn't come back.
I did watch this season. Yeah.
And his partner, I think it was Ryan was his name, was the guy who was wrongfully convicted and was in jail for like a long period of time, like 10, 15 years. And Dusty was his only friend who remained loyal to him throughout that time. And he was innocent, and he got proven innocent. And then when he got out, they ended up doing the race together. And Dusty was the normal person. He's like one of us guys in the life. He's a normie. He was a normal person doing his life, but his friend had gone through this crazy experience of being incarcerated, being put in jail when he wasn't guilty of something really bad that happened. And then he got taken out, and then Dusty became famous through that because he was in it. Dusty was the more... let me put it this way. No. Let me put it this way, guys. Can you guys imagine Dusty and Paulie this season going at it? Because he kind of has that Paulie energy, that he will, not to the same degree, not as toxic, but he will not stand back for anyone. Like, so he's got that fighting spirit on him. So I feel like there could be some explosive battles between them in this season because they're both very strong personalities. Dusty, I love, by the way, and I've become friends with Dusty outside of his season. I've spoken to him a few times. He's been on the channel. He's done an interview for the Amazing Race 33. So if you want to get a vibe of what Dusty is like, his interview is on this channel. So go search Dusty Harris on the channel. You'll get a bit of an idea. But I loved him. He's a great guy. He even said in that interview he badly wants to play the challenge. He's a fan of the challenge. So we like seeing people who are fans of the show get on the show, similar to Kayla, who got on the show last season. So I'm excited. He's physically capable. He did a Ironman not that long ago over in Europe. So the guy's fit and could be a sleeper because people might underestimate him coming from a competitive race TV show opposed to a strategy. So kind of.
Well, also the numbers as well, right? The Amazing Race, there's only is there 3 or 4 of them?
I endorse this, Chris, by the way, Dusty and Ryan, because Ryan would be awesome. But I feel like Ryan was a one and done reality TV person. I don't know if he wants to remain in the spotlight, but Dusty and Ryan could be very exciting to see both on there. Sorry, what was your question, Kona?
I forget. I just got completely distracted. I'm sorry. I'll tell you something.
Listen, Christina, I know I shouldn't have compared him to Paulie. He's not toxic like Paulie. He's just got that fire that Paulie has. Like, so like he will not, like if the vets are going to try and throw him in, he's going to fight back. Or like an early Wes, when Wes was thrown in constantly. He's got that type of energy that he's going to bring to the show, I think.
I remember now. Sandy P reminded me. There's only 2 Amazing Race people in the cast this season. Yeah. So that's why I was like, okay, so even if he's great, the fact that there's only 2 of them means that they could be an Argentina kind of thing in this season of World Championship, where a very easy kind of vote out for all the other teams that are trying to find a way out for the vote. Just target the Amazing Race people because there's only 2 of them.
I'm going to put it out there. I could be completely wrong. I've got high hopes for Dusty. I think that even if they throw him in, he's gonna rock a few people. I could see him rock a few people. So they might underestimate him.
I'll tell you, Amazing Race, one controversial take that I'll cop from all the viewers before we move on to Fessy. Phil, not a good host.
What? Phil is so great.
He doesn't do anything. He's just boring. He's monotone. Like, he doesn't have to do much. I guess that's not his fault. He just kind of stands there and welcomes them to the mat and explains the next leg. But he's not really doing much during the race. Like, we see a Jeff at the challenges talking them through it and conducting tribal council. We see TJ at every daily and every elimination and all that sort of thing. But Phil just has to be there, and he could essentially be the country's token that they have welcoming them, and they say, welcome to America. Yeah. It could just be that person. Without a Phil, they land on the mat, they win, right? So
I get what you're saying, and it's different strokes for different folks, right? So you've got, for instance, I've got like this love-hate relationship with the Amazing Race host, where a lot of people love him, Bo Ryan, but I feel like Bo Ryan tries to make the show about him, and I actually kind of like the fact that Phil steps back and lets the show take the center stage, opposed to him being the center stage. It's also one of the reasons that I've had issues with Jeff in recent seasons, where I feel like he's trying to become the show when the show should always come first. So I can see where you're coming from. I personally love Phil, and a lot of people in here saying that they do as well.
I know. I'm getting done now.
Come for Julie Chen instead. Yeah, Julie Chen the Chen bot doesn't have a lot of fans these days. You didn't miss too much. Like, we're still going to be on here for a while. We're going to be talking about some of the cast for the Challenge USA. The earlier stages, we had a little bit of a chat about Australian Survivor and some of the interviews that I'll be doing, and also about Survivor moving to 90-minute episodes. So if you want to hear some of the Survivor takes, go back to the beginning of the live. Otherwise, just stay here and hang out for a bit, because we're just vibing, we're just chilling. There's no real format to this. We're just talking about everybody that's going to be on this season. And the next person here, Fessy. Why, Kona? Why? Make it make sense.
I mean, he maybe technically could say that he's Big Brother, so therefore he's CBS. He's not an MTV cast. He's a CBS
lost
cast.
Kahuna.
But
we lost you there for a second.
I don't like Fessy. Sorry. Yeah, like I was saying, he's maybe if you look at it, he's CBS as opposed to MTV. So maybe that's why they've got him on there as a Big Brother alum. But I don't like Fessy. I think he's obviously physically dominant. He's a big athletic dude, and I don't know if there's anyone on this season that can actually stand in his way if there's a hall brawl or anything like that. But socially, he's horrible. I think he's a piece of garbage, and I hate seeing him on my TV, to be honest with you.
Yeah, a hot take here. I just have a feeling, Baby Ice is saying boo Fessy, but I hope he goes after Paulie for Josh. I have a feeling Fessy and Paulie are gonna get along. I've got a feeling that the Big Brother crew are gonna stick together. They're gonna pull some numbers together. Fessy did play in the same season as Tyler Crispin, who's also gonna be on this season. So I see those two potentially working together because Tyler and Casey is very close. They're very close friends in real life. They went to the end together in their season. So just due to that, I think Fessy will fall into that alliance automatically. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I'm not overly excited to see Fessy back on our screens, but I feel like of all the players coming over from the main show, Kahuna, to this show, Fessy may be the most well insulated coming into this season. So I just can't see him not go deep because challenge wise, it's gonna be hard to take him out. I know he's got a massive ego and people are going to be annoyed by it, but I just don't see him going home early, Kahuna. I'm really fearful of that. Let's see what people are saying.
There's a platform that he says that MTV rigged against him because he's too big and muscular that just wouldn't hold him up. That was his excuse for last season why he lost.
I blame everybody in the live because you didn't donate to him when he asked you to. So then he wouldn't. He said if you donate $1 million to him, he won't come back. And I think no one donated. So he's like, this is proof that people want me on their screens, Kahuna.
Yeah, it's all our fault.
It's all our fault that we're still seeing Fessy go out there and play. Christina is saying, I don't know why CBS MTV loves him that much. Same. No understanding of that. W, the decision maker with Amanda and Michelle. I think it could be. Carlos Ronda saying Fessy's going to have good drama with Amanda. Yeah, because they had that messy relationship, and he also had something on with Michelle.
With Michelle, yeah.
So that could bring some spiciness.
Maybe that's why they're bringing him back on, to have that, to have the love triangle thing going on.
W saying Paulie and Fessy are friends. Yeah, I see it. They kind of feel like they would be friends. Like just their personalities. I can see it. Fessy and Josh here together is the return of my nightmares. Yep. I hope someone humbled him early on. Danny should be there if Fessy is. Won't have advantage in Hall Brawl. Yeah, sadly, Danny's not back. I've got a theory about Danny. Bit off topic, but we spoke about that last week, Kona. I feel like the producers won't want Danny back anytime soon. Danny is just someone they can't control, and he's willing to go after the Bananas and Jordans of this world, which is production favorites. So I feel like Danny might not get that call again. The Challenge USA may be the last one we see him on. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that the production team proves me wrong and that they don't mind having strong-willed individuals playing this game that are willing to go after the veteran alliance.
It's not just strong. Like, Fessy, by all accounts, is incredibly strong-willed, but he's a dick.
and he works with them, and he works with them most of the time. Like, he does,
yeah. So I don't know. Like, I don't know why they would fight against that. Like, you want that. Danny is showing that he's great TV this season. And if he's a little bit more of a headache to deal with, I get it. Like, you don't want your production to be changed or whatever by one individual person or makes the entire process a nightmare, but he's showing that he is good TV, and I hope that they recognize that over the convenience of having someone that's completely malleable and does whatever you want.
Chris is asking us to just skip over Bananas. Okay. Yeah, listen, I mean, Bananas definitely is the GOAT. He's a great player, but it's time to retire. I feel like, I mean, and coming into the season, I don't know if anybody is gonna want to be taking advice from Bananas this season. Like, Bananas is trying to be the mentor this season, but it doesn't look like people are fully, in for it.
Does this USA cast, though, look like it has the same people that would stand up to him so willingly? Is there a Danny and a Sarah and a people that would, take it to him, and Aussies that don't know who he is, and that sort of thing? Like, I wonder if his status might carry a bit of weight with a cast like this coming into an all USA season. Like, he deserves it. He's the GOAT, like you said, and I see why they've put him here. If there's going to be like the waters of MTV versus CBS, Viacom, and who sits where it's going to be shown, is the future of MTV, Strong versus Paramount Plus, like whatever it is. Right now, he's the face of the show, and they're wanting to bring that face to this one as well. And right now, I don't think anyway. I don't know if they were trying to do it with Fessy or why they keep bringing him back. But right now, he doesn't seem to have an heir apparent. The generation that we've seen with him and Wes and CT and Jordan, who was really kind of a same generation B, or a later generation that has now joined the ranks, there doesn't seem to be the next heir apparent. There doesn't seem to be the next banana coming along. So they're going to keep rolling him out until they can find someone that can take the shield from him, I guess.
It's interesting. Baby Ice is Bananas versus Paulie for all time's sake. It's interesting to see Bananas and Paulie on the same season, because a lot of rumors out there was that Bananas was the reason Paulie didn't get back on, and that he didn't want to play with Paulie any longer. There's a lot of rumors out there, so it's interesting to see them both be out there on the same season. His beef with Danny and Sarah shows he can't talk to adults. Because, I mean, they're kind of their own people, right? Dabu is saying Paulie is only man that can get rid of Bananas, just like War of the Worlds 2, Rally the Troops. Well, there was a theory out there that people like Paulie had, that's why they didn't want him back on, because he was willing to go against the favorites, and that the favorites didn't want to return. They were threatening not to return to the game if Paulie was there, because he was getting too much of a hold on the numbers and voting out these people early every season, like Wes and Bananas.
Well, I heard it wasn't that he was willing to go against him. It was more the methodology that he used
Psychological
in doing
warfare.
so. Yeah, that he can be a bit of a bully, and made just living in the house a bit of a nightmare for people around him, where it became almost like harassment, if you will. And we're living in a time, or at least when Paulie was kind of got his exile, where that's such a very, very big deal, and maybe it was an overreaction, but apparently the way he treats people in the house is not just gameplay. It's like it was causing issues.
Yeah. Jacob is saying, I feel like Josh being there will potentially cause a Big Brother MTV mega alliance, but I think Paulie being there might help mitigate that, because it just depends on where Paulie is. Like, will he be in there? But yeah, you've got too many friends, and at some point we need to do a Venn diagram of how Casey and Josh and Fessy, with the likes of the Tyler Crispins, who also likes to play in big alliances and be a mastermind, how all of them are going to like connect together in this season. Because I do feel like Jacob is onto it. There's a big chance. There's a big Brother MTV mega alliance that is waiting for us out there. And especially because, people like Josh, he wants to secure that next spot on the show, and he knows the deeper he takes Bananas into the game, the better his chances are to get the call again next season, because they're keeping one of the favorites in the game for long. You know what I mean?
Unless he tries to do that thing with Wes, where he builds up a rivalry that doesn't exist, and he thinks that'll be the storyline. Me and Bananas, we hate each other. We're getting Bananas like, what are you talking about, man? Like,
you should be working for that Ride or Dies partnership for future seasons with Bananas. And me and Bananas, we're good mates. We hang out all the time outside of the game.
Yeah, you have to make your guess. Like, which season's going to come first? Are they going to do another Ride or Dies, or are they going to do another Rivals? I need to make my decision.
Happy for Janae that she's coming back this season. Like, I felt bad for how she left the last season, not being able to get like at least a fighting chance to stay in the Challenge USA sucked for her. But again, like, you got to wonder, is there anybody else we could have brought in? Is there new talent we could have brought in from the CBS side? I feel like there has to be, right? But not angry either. Like, I mean, I'm happy to see how Janae is going to go. But again, she's one of those players that where's she going to fit in? She might not fully fit in with the MTV main show people either, because she's been out of that circle for so long.
Yeah, I mean, this season on World Championship, she's with Bananas, she's with Tori. There is at least that familiarity, but you're right. Like I'm interested to see, like, this season on World Championship, I was interested to see how the All Stars make that step up. If it's like, is the All Stars a step down as far as competition goes to the main flagship and then to World Championship and to USA? And I don't think Janae had long enough on this season. Like, she obviously did well early in a couple of those dailies, but I am interested to see a two-time back-to-back champion on All Stars, how that equates to competition-wise on a show like USA.
Mm. Josh Martinez, we've spoken about him a little bit. He didn't make it on the previous season. I do give credit where it's due. The guy's been working, man, out on the off season on his physique, and he's getting in better and better shape. You got to look at this and you got to say, when we criticize Nelly T for not doing puzzles outside of seasons, you've got to at least give it to Josh that he's working on that physical aspect of it in between seasons, and he's trying to become a better competitor. And I think it's going to pay off for him on some of the dailies. The problem, though, is that I've always said natural athleticism is something you either have or you don't. You can be the fittest guy out there, but if you just don't have natural athleticism, if you're the goof, you might still be struggling out there like he did with those balls when he had to throw the target. It's just, you either have it or you don't, Kahuna.
Give me the goof. Just give me the goof. Give me the goof.
I actually think he's more tolerable than like Fessy. Like, if I had to choose between him and Fessy, I'd choose Josh at this stage, to be honest with you. Yeah, and I would never have thought that a couple of seasons ago.
I do too, because, like, I don't know, like, I have this thing, like, okay, he's so dumb. You're so dumb, dude. Just shut your mouth. Stop talking. But, like, dumb is not as bad as, like, an asshole, right? Like, dumb is like, oh, he's goofy, and that's almost like, oh, Josh, oh, like, so yeah, I like what you said though, because strength and physicality is not necessarily Josh's issue, right? He's a big dude and he's very strong. We have a saying in Australia, because what we do is we just abbreviate everything, right? Breakfast becomes brekkie, afternoon becomes arvo, all that sort of thing. In Australia, Josh would be what we call unco.
Smoke break becomes smoko.
Yep, Josh will be what we call unco. Have you heard of this phrase before?
No.
Unco. It just means
he's uncoordinated or something.
Completely uncoordinated. It's that person that you go, look, he looks athletic, he looks big, he looks strong, but he looks like he throws a ball with his left hand. Like, he's left-handed and he's throwing it the wrong, like, whatever it is, he's just unco. He does not have the ability to put his physical traits in some sort of logical order where it allows him to find success. His brain does not move the things in the same way that natural athletes do. And no matter how cut he gets, no matter how muscular he gets, whatever he does to his physique, if he's completely uncoordinated and non-athletic, it's not going to help.
Yeah. Jacob here says, has Josh figured out the answer to what 8 times 9 is, though? Chris saying, nah, much prefer Fessy over Josh. I cannot stand Josh's whining. Double Paulie going to mentally break him down. He was the one that alleged Paulie punched him on Winners War of the Worlds 2 reunion. You should go watch, if you haven't yet, Double, but I know you're a fan of Angel Cake, you should go watch his Cara Maria documentary. He actually talks to that in part 3, which is quite interesting hearing the different takes on that documentary, because Paulie and Cara said that it was all manufactured, that they had cameras out there to try to get Paulie out, and they just did a film and basically acted the whole thing up. I don't know what's true, I wasn't there, but it's interesting hearing the different sides to it, and what a dirty way to get someone off the show, if that is true, if you manufactured it. I don't know if it's true or not, I'm not saying it is, but it's a really dirty way not to have to compete against them head-to-head. And if it was ever to come out that that is what happened, I'd lose a lot of respect for a lot of people that was involved in that whole scenario.
They also petitioned to get Ashley out from Josh last season as well, right? Or season before, with saying that she outed him, basically, and I think it was Tori and Casey said they hated that, and that's what got Ashley removed, because she called him out and basically tried to out him and said they all knew he was gay, even though he hasn't come out.
Interesting. Well, she ended up obviously being removed as well. So there's one thing that Ashley
and Fessy got removed for the interaction. So Josh has had like multiple people removed from a season just for interacting with him.
Yeah, Jacob is
Didn't
also
Fessy push
more
him?
of a Fessy fan. There's a few more. There's a few more Fessy fans here saying Fessy works better because at the end of the day, he's very self motivated and a solid villain when he's not trying to be a nice guy. It's true when he just owns who he is. But sometimes he tries to be, he's just a shy guy, Kahuna. He wants us to know he's a shy guy. He's an introvert.
Yeah, he's an introvert on his sixth reality TV show in a row.
Yeah. All right. Next person here, Louis from The Amazing Race 34. Love Louis. I've spoken a few times with him in DM. I wanted to get him on for an interview for The Amazing Race after the season, but we've just never been able to make it work. Now it looks like he's going to be on the challenge, and I might have to talk to him about both of his experiences if I do actually get him on the show one day. He's a really nice guy, so I really hope he does well. But being one of the two amazing race people going out there, my hopes are low at this stage for where he's potentially going to end. But he's got a larger than life personality as well. I feel like he would be the life of the party, so he might fit in with the likes of like a Corey. If he does get out there, I just don't know where he's going to fit. Like, it's very hard to know how he's going to do strategically on this season. Let's have a look. Chris saying, happy to see Louis. He was fun. I agree. He was really lighthearted, which is good. Let's move on to Michaela, though. A lot of people wanted to see Michaela come back out to play again after she had her list and she got caught very early on in that season. Do you think she's bringing notepads with her this time?
She better not. I don't know why it was such a sin as well, though. Like, I think lots of people keep notebooks in their stuff there in the challenge house. I've heard over the years, but I like Michaela. I'm a big fan of Michaela. I thought she could have done better.
We need a Jay out there. Like, I want the Jay and Michaela reunion.
She unfortunately, it was that first episode thing where they're just looking for any excuse, whatever we can find to tack on to get the vote. That was unfortunately the notes became a thing for Michaela, which was also her undoing on Survivor, the first by drawing in the sand as well, where the alliances were, and it kind of people like, she's too smart, get her out of here. The challenge, it's usually even more so. They don't like smart people on the challenge as much as Survivor. But Michaela has that combination of both brains and brawn. I think she's quite a physical competitor as well, and I'm looking forward to what she can do on the show.
She could be a sleeper this season coming in. I think she could do extremely well. It just depends on how much hurt feelings there is between her and some of the vets that were on that season. She also had that season, I think, Michelle going out there with her, and Michelle didn't really stand up for her. So I don't know if even her and Michelle are in a good place coming into this season. So I just don't know where she's going to end up with the numbers. But I do hope she has a good run. And I know that there's a lot of people here in the live that also is very happy to see her come back. Chris is saying, yes, Michaela. Christina saying, woohoo, Michaela, with 3 fire emojis, not just one. So I definitely agree with you on that one, Christina. Very happy. And then Dabu is saying Laura will always have a notepad, but nobody would go after her for that. It's true. I think Laurel's a little bit more intimidating than Michaela. Maybe Michaela's too friendly. Christina saying Michaela got screwed by having a sucky guy partner.
Oh yeah, that's right. She would have won that elimination. It was her partner, because they went against Corey Lay, and he was just massive, and it was like a weight thing. I think who was I remember her partner, but I remember feeling like in that elimination, she got ripped off with her partner, and then the female on the other side got carried by hers.
I agree. Yeah, Michelle Fitzgerald. Obviously, we all know she's been. I feel like she's one of those people that are trying to push now on the challenge as one of the main people that we'll see come back often in the future on the main show. And I'm not hating it. Like, listen, Michelle, she this last season tried to go up against the vets. She tried to do something with Amber B. Did it work? Was it successful? No. Do I applaud her for trying? Yes, because we need that. We need people pushing against the forces that be. I just don't know if she's capable. I haven't seen her really do much in regards to being able to move people with her, convince numbers to come. But it's hard to judge her because the people she's going up against have been friends for some of them for a decade.
Yeah, I feel like she's been trying to make moves as an outsider, and I'm hoping that maybe this season, she can. I don't know, like if she also comes across when she does her things. Like I applaud the fact that she did try, but she comes across as a little bit whiny and like not as assured in herself. And she's said that in a lot of her confessionals and the way that she's growing as a person as well. She's becoming more confident. We've talked about how she felt like she was not a worthy winner or survivor because that's what people told her. I look forward to, and I don't know if this is just the storyline in my head, but I look forward to a season where Michelle can get okay with herself. She's not worried about what other people are thinking about her and relationships with, making out with Fessy or whatever and having whatever goes down with that. She had that thing last season with Laurel where she was like, are we good? Are we not? And she just always feels really needy. I want her to stand on her own and go, I'm a freaking winner or survivor. I've now been on this show for a number of seasons. I am a veteran on this show. And I want to see her try to step into that and really kind of own it and see what she can do. Like I want to see her take that. She takes the shots, but own it with confidence and see what that does. Like a Sarah Lucina, like that badass attitude.
Yeah, I don't know if I just feel her personality isn't that. I feel like her personality is who she is, and I think we're going to get the same version of her out there again. But I do think Michelle could become very dangerous in the future if she continues to come back season after season. She continues to build friendships with these people. She'll be a part of that friendship alliance in 5 or 6 seasons from now and sit pretty to get to the end, because even if you run a final against Michelle was never really great at immunity challenges. Yes, she won the clutch one at the end that won her season, but I remember her struggling a lot in Winners at War, doing some of the more obstacle course race type of challenges, which you have to be good at that stuff when you go onto the challenge. Not everything's going to be a puzzle out on the challenge. So I'm a little bit worried for her on that. But then saying that her and Jay had some good showings in this last season, so maybe I'm being too critical on her. Dabu's asking, do Michelle and Amanda still have beef? I think they probably would. Like, I just feel like Amanda's that kind of person that wouldn't let things go. I feel like she still definitely has that beef. Christina's saying, I just hope Michelle, Michaela, and Desi become a Survivor Boss Lady group. I hope so as well. I hope Michaela's okay with Michelle and with Desi, obviously. The next person I really have no opinions on, Monty Taylor. I know he was in that season with Taylor that won, and I think they were hooking up at one point, but they're not together after the season, so there might have been some messiness with that whole relationship, and he might not have been a stand-up guy. I'm not too sure. So in the live, for those that have watched the season of Big Brother 24, are you excited to see this guy come on and play the show? Chris is the first one in, so I'll pull her comment up first. Monty is by far, in capitals, the worst person on this cast with 3 X. Jacob is saying Monty is such an ew pick. Would have made rather had Joseph than Monte. Joseph is the one who's actually dating Taylor now. I've noticed that. I don't know what they were thinking with that choice. So he seems to be like that player type of guy. I feel like he did her dirty or something. Monty was a huge dick to Taylor. Yeah. So not excited. Move on. Next person. I know this is why everybody came to the live stream. They wanted to know, Kahuna, what do you and I think of Mr. Calafury making his long-awaited return to the challenge? Kahuna, and I'll let you go first. You can butter up the live a little bit before I go in with my hot take on this.
Butter up the live. I don't know, because I'm not a fan of Paulie. I hated him.
You're buttering them up. Live is going to agree with you.
Yeah, but again, like, I said before, I don't like my relationship with Amanda is that over the years, as I've come to appreciate villains for their villainy, I know Paulie's in that, but I didn't have the same view of him. I just saw him, first of all, I saw him as an asshole to people, which I hate, but I also saw him be incredibly cocky, so much so, and then just completely like choke multiple times. The first season he was on, he went in and out of the house like 4 or 5 times, kept getting eliminated and was in the redemption house or whatever it is. So that saved his ass multiple times. Yes, he kept winning his way back in, but he also kept losing his way out, which I hated. And then when he finally got power and was actually running things strategically, like very, very well, actually, he did a very good job against the people that I like. That's why I didn't like him that season. But then he completely just choked it, falling off the net, and in the finals just really ruining his team, and talked the biggest game you've ever seen on the challenge, and didn't live up to the hype.
Yeah. It's interesting. The comments that are coming in here so far is all positive. Paulie is going to be a villain, and I'm honestly here for his return. From Jacob, Chris is saying, "Ooh, I'm actually excited for Paulie. Bring back good TV." Christina saying, "I hope that without Kara and Kyle, he'll at least be tolerable." And I think that's also one of the reasons why a lot of people really disliked Paulie in that time, was because there was such a big storyline in that love triangle that even for me, as a Kara fan, I was like, this is cringe. I'm over this storyline. Let's just move on from it. So I'm excited to see.
There was a couple times where I felt like Kyle and Paulie got along, but because of Kara, he had, like at the Oscars last year, like Will Smith was laughing at the joke originally, but then when he saw Jada Pinkett angry, that's when he got up and did the slap. And I feel like Paulie had that he's like, oh, it's funny, but Kara's like, give him a death. So he's like, hey, we're fighting. We're not cool because Kara looked at me.
I think one of the things about Paulie, from what I've seen in his interviews and when he talks about the game and that, is that he doesn't want to take the game outside of the game. He wants the game to be the game. He wants to play this villain game. I think this to give a shout out to Drew. Drew really had him pegged down on his documentary when he compared him to the Joker. And he said that Paulie wanted to be the Joker of the challenge. So go and listen to that documentary and, because apparently a lot of, and I didn't even see it, like even the way he dressed at the reunion was kind of like the Joker, the same type of suit and everything. He tried to impersonate that person within the challenge, but it was like slightly off from where he wanted to be, but with the mind games and the psychology. But the Joker actually had plans that made sense until the end, where Paulie's kind of felt like Paulie was great at getting to the end, but then winning a final is a different strategy that is needed. So, but I'm excited because you know what, with Paulie, he's got something to prove. People have been calling him out, speaking about him. Well, he's not in the game there to defend himself. Now he can go out there and try and prove himself this season. I do hope that he does what he said he was going to do, which is to take out the power structure in the challenge. Because I don't think Paulie is a number for bananas. I don't think he's a number for the vets. I think he's someone that's going to be an agent of chaos this season, and I'm here for it. I'm here for anyone that's going to upset the apple cart, and I'm happy to see him go there without Kara this season as well. Lauren's asking, are Paulie and Fessy friends? I don't know, but I feel like they would get along. The problem is that I think Fessy's going to work with the bananas and the Joshes of this world and that vet alliance. So they may not, even if they do get along, they might not be on the same place. I've just got a feeling Paulie's going to get thrown. He's going to get thrown in early on an elimination this season. They're going to throw him in early.
You know what I'd be worried about with Paulie? That he, in getting his foot back in the door as a chance at redemption to get back on the show regularly, does he play nice and boring?
I hope not.
Not ruffle feathers, because by all accounts, depending on who you ask, like whether it's going against the established stars or the way that he went against established stars, and then there was also reports of like his mental health after the fact as well. So maybe he's gonna just try to, like, I need to get back on this show. I'm not going to go against bananas because that's how I lost it last time, depending on who you ask. I'm not going to be a dick to people because that's how I lost it last time, depending on who you ask. And I'm going to do things that are going to keep me ingratiated. Cara Marie is back on All Stars. I'm on USA. Maybe this is our chance to kind of get back in with the family and keep it nice and pleasant. I don't know. The last time that what he was doing last time got him exiled for multiple years. So we'll see.
But I don't think it was because of what happened in the game. I think it's because of the claims people made that he hit Josh after the game. And his argument as well, because I do think that the producers did like bringing him back at that point until this whole thing happened outside of the game. And they're like, oh, wow, he's physically attacking people outside of the game. We probably need to stop this. The players are now afraid to play against them. That took him out, which was if he didn't do it, I don't know if he did or if he didn't, but if he didn't do it, it's a dirty move by the people to get him exiled from the game in such a manner. But one of the other things I heard him say was that you guys think that mental thing was true, but I had to do psych tests for Big Brother. I had to do psych tests for the challenge from the start. Like if there was something wrong, they would have found it seasons ago. And they never found anything. My tests were always clean.
Hey, maybe a test after doing multiple seasons of the challenge could look very different for your mental health.
Like we saw how it affected Cara Maria over seasons of being bullied and exiled, and she got to a point where she started kicking back, and it changed her personality also in a way where a lot of people didn't like it, So it's going to be interesting, but it's going to give us, the podcasters and the viewers, something to talk about when he goes back. So I'm excited for it. Darby saying, I'm curious how Paulie is without Kara. Agreed. Ninja was the liability in that final. He did finish the final after all. No justice for former Cara Maria cult members. Zach taking a break also screwed Kara's cult over. Bananas isn't worth protecting. The amount of trash Paulie talked on Twitter and podcasts about Vacation Alliance, no way he plays nice. Let's hope so, because that would be such a letdown. Be such a letdown. It's just a shame we didn't get him and Turbo on the same season, because I feel like Turbo needed Paulie out there when he went back, because he had no one that was willing to fight the good fight with him. Next person is Tiffany Mitchell. She kind of felt flat for me on the previous season, but she was likable as a personality, but she wasn't the mastermind strategist that she was in Big Brother 23. So I'm going to be very interested to see how she does on this next season coming back.
Yeah, complete non-factor for me in the last season. I was like, oh yeah, I remember her. So when I say that, I'm like, oh, it didn't really make much of an impact on me. So let's hope she can have a better season.
But I will say this, Tiffany has got an awesome personality. So I know why they're bringing her back. If you watch the Winner's Circle podcast, which is the podcast that Cody Califuri and Derek, I can't even pronounce his last name, but Derek and Cody has this podcast that they started. They're both winners of Big Brother. She's become like a third person who's now almost like a mainstay on that podcast. So I'm not too sure if anybody is aware of that podcast. And Tiffany is so much fun in that dynamic. And I became an even bigger fan of Tiffany listening to that podcast when they were covering the traitors that Cody played in. I think she's got such a cool personality. So I'm happy to see Tiffany come back for one more season to see what she's got. Tori, yeah, I mean, listen.
That's
the new face.
Sorry,
the new face of the challenge, right, Tori? Now that she's won, at least Cara Maria is allowed to come back and do the challenge.
Oh,
hey, Kuna.
Yeah, shots fired. Okay,
that's the one good thing. That's the one good thing. That's the one good thing about Tori winning.
People don't like Tori. I don't have a problem with Tori. I've always liked Tori. I know. I just said that out loud, didn't I, Chris?
Maybe Ice is with you.
Yeah, there you go. Tori stands in. I'm not necessarily a stan. I just don't get the hate. Like from the get-go, she came in and created amazing television by cheating on the most boring person ever, who's crappy at the show, and hooked up with an absolute GOAT legend. Like that was automatic strategy genius from her, right? Ditching Derek to get with Jordan is going to guarantee you that you're on this show for the next 5 years. And then from the get-go, she was physically very capable. She carried her partner in that season. And then for me, the big thing was the hall brawl with Jenny. Just trucked her, like just completely.
That was impressive.
Yeah, so like she's always been physically capable. She knows how to talk to a camera. She doesn't really cause waves. And I know for some people that's boring. She gets a lot of the relationship drama. And this season on Championship, she's obviously being incredibly annoying about Jordan and not voting him in and all that. But she's a very stable and strong competitor who, gives good confessionals.
You see, I'm with Lauren on this. I don't love Tori, but I also don't hate her. I'm just meh on Tori because, yes, she is a good competitor, but I would much rather see stronger females out there that are not willing to take a step back to the men in the house. It's like Sarah this season, which I know people don't like Sarah, but Sarah's like, I don't care if you're bananas, you're the godfather of the challenge. I'm playing this game for me. And I feel like Tori is that kind of person. She's agreeable. She moves with the flow of the house. She doesn't stand her own ground. That's why I stand Cara Maria, because she is combative. She's somebody that will go against the house. She calls it out when TJ talks about Bananas being a legend and so great at the game. She calls him out for not saying she's great at the game because she's made a bunch of finals as well. And she's also good at strategizing to the end game. Those are the type of women I want on the game. I want women that don't feel like they have to be an attachment to Jordan's game or Bananas' game or, I guess I'm a little bit critical, but she did stand up against a couple of seasons ago. Who's the partner this last season? I forgot his name now. That just won with her.
Devin.
Devin. Her and Devin had a bit of an argument a couple of seasons ago where she tried to play her own game. So maybe I'm being too critical, but I sometimes feel like she's too agreeable.
She stands up to her own partner in this season. Yeah, Tor. I don't know. Like, what more do you want from her though? Like, what do you want her to? She gets to the end. Her strategy, whether you like it or not, she gets to finals. She goes deep every season, and it's because of the relationships, yes. And she made a good choice by hooking up with Jordan, and we were fiancés. She immediately, like, you know how you said before that after a few more seasons, maybe 5 or 6, Michelle Fitzgerald will be just one of the alumni vets that's in that same circle. Tori like supercharged that process. She's like in one season, she went, "I'll hook up with Jordan," and now automatically I'm a stable veteran. That's just because of relationship by proxy. She's now got all these relationships, and she got incredibly close to Anissa, who is a long time 20-year vet. Obviously, got very close with Devon. So she's made friends that I don't think is a calculated thing, but she has chosen relationships and friendships that saw her be really bedded down as a mainstay of the show, and I can't hate on that. Like,
Yeah. Oh, listen, she's okay. I mean, there's worse people they could have put out there. It's just like I said, I kind of don't feel either or from that. I'm happy to wait out this season that she's currently on. Somebody just earlier said here, baby, I said Tori gets another win. We're putting her on the GOAT list, so who knows? She might get that win still in this Challenge USA season, and she would be a 2-time champion, which is up there with Janae. You know, as one of the best, and Cara Maria and Evelyn and all of those, because there's not many female, because the challenge has this thing right now where they don't like to bring back champion females often or give them an opportunity to build on that. They win one and they don't bring them back. You know, so I'd be good with that. I'd be good with that. All right, so the next person here on the list is Tyler Crispin. Tyler, when he played his first season, was with Casey Kahuna. He ran that season. It was really Tyler's season to win. Casey got to the end by being aligned with him and with Angela in that alliance. But Tyler's brain power and strategic prowess is the one that got them there. But at the end, his social game, which he didn't have a bad social game, I still sometimes look at that Big Brother season and I think to myself, how did he lose that? Because Casey was just that likable. And people voted for the person they liked more. But it wasn't like he was necessarily unlikable. I think that Tyler coming in is very interesting because they've asked him to come and play the game a lot, and he's always said no for many seasons now. So why suddenly now is he happy to come and play the Challenge USA? And I wonder if it has something to do with the fact that when he came back in All-Stars, he had, I mean, I say he had a below average performance, but he still got pretty deep. I think he was like 5th or 6th on that season, which isn't bad. But his heart wasn't in the game at all because Angela was at home. And now him and Angela have broken up. He's a free man. Maybe he wants to come back and prove that he is really a good game player. And I do think he is a good game player. So Tyler could be underestimated. He's great at challenges as well. I know Big Brother challenges are not necessarily the same as the challenges on the challenge, but from memory, he won like half of his alliance's challenges, vetoes and HOHs and things like that. So he's not only strategically good, but he's also fit, Kahuna.
Well, as much as my knowledge of him and how far I go back with Tyler Crispin and his Big Brother seasons, I really appreciate his no sleeves and his headband, which is the extent of my knowledge of Tyler here.
New bandana king.
Yeah, so if that's what he's going to bring to the table, I'm all for it. Why not? But yeah, like I don't know, like based on reputation alone, what you've told me and the fact that Angela put on such a good showing, not that that means anything, I guess, but I'm starting to respect, even though I've not seen any of Big Brother, I'm starting to respect the caliber of performers they have coming through.
Yeah, Chris here is saying Tyler and Tori have so much in common, both of ex-fiancés who have been on the challenge. Tyler's going to be with Josh's crew and will probably be boring unless he breaks off from them and works on his own. That's the problem. It's like, is he going to take a backseat on the strategy, or is he also going to have, like, because what made him really good in Big Brother was that he had alliances on both sides of the aisle, and he was like always the one with the options. But now he's coming into an alliance that he's being brought into. So I don't know if he's going to be able to do that. Chris says Tyler sucks. Hope he goes early. Chris, I don't agree with you. I don't think Tyler is that bad. Like I know that in this season he kind of put his his foot in his mouth a few times, or what is the saying? Like he said the wrong things and that. But I don't like at his core. I don't think he's a bad person. I think he's a decent player as well. Jacob, I think Tyler will do really well competitively. I think so. Angela Rummans is his ex. Oh, I should have cast her for drama. Yeah, it would have been spicy because those two, when they were in the Big Brother house and they started dating, they did not leave each other's sight, apparently, until he went back to go play All Stars for Big Brother. And the whole thing was he was casted to come back and she wasn't. And that's why because he tried to get her on. He actually said no to All Stars first because they didn't want to cast her. And then they were like, okay, cool, we don't need you back. And then he's like, oh, okay, I will do it because Angela wanted him to do it. But they were very tight.
I heard Angela's probably not going to be coming back.
Yeah, she's not been happy with production. She's not been happy, especially the way that she was let go at the end. I think she left a bad taste in her mouth. Both her and Tyson, I feel like, think they're above it. Yeah. That's the attitude they've kind of got to this. Which is not necessarily great, but yeah. Jacob saying, I think Angela lives in a different country right now. Could be. Tom McPherson saying, ooh, just joined Time to Rewind and see what I've missed. Yeah, go and have a look. There was a bit of Survivor in the beginning, Tom. Reality Realness saying Tyler deserved the win over Casey. I agree. I thought he played a better game than her. And I felt like when Tyson lost that one, I was like, are we getting into the era now where the person who plays the most risky game and actually plays will never win the game anymore? Because we had a couple of winners like that where they were winning the game, similar to Josh winning over Paul in his season. I was like, Josh is not the better player out of the two. Jacob saying Tyson not coming back is so tragic. Yeah, I agree. I don't think Tyler and Angela ended very positively. I doubt they want to be on TV together. Yep. Some rumors out there. I don't know if any of them are true about cheating. Lauren saying Tyson shouldn't be asked back. No quitters allowed. It's fair. I've seen a few people saying that. I still think Tyson's great TV. I'd probably still give him the benefit of the doubt if he wanted to, but I don't think we see Tyson back, sadly, again. I don't think he wants to come back on that one.
Yeah, I'd have Tyson back on any show. Put him on something on like a main HBO drama. Just put Tyson on my TV. I'll take it. But yeah, he did not like that season. And he talks so much crap about the producers as well.
All right, lastly, the last person who is rumored to be on the cast before the alternatives, we can quickly browse through them as well. Wes Bergman, I think no surprise to us, he had the motivational speech to the newbies at the end of his elimination saying that they are now a part of the Challenge family. So clearly, probably got himself into this next Challenge USA cast because they're like, well, this is the kind of mentor we want out there. And I've got to say, if we had to have an Island of Idols coach situation for the Challenge, I would want Wes out there. I think Wes could be one of those people that could breed and coach entertaining new challenges on the show. So I really love Wes. I'm a Wes stan. I'm happy to see him back.
Yeah, Wes is absolutely one of the best people to have for that very reason. Bananas himself has said on this season to his own partner, I don't talk to new people like that. I don't get in. But Wes is constantly reaching out to the rookies, and not just from a I don't think it's just from a selfish gaming point of view, like Bananas always accuses him of just trying to reach out to the rookies to build his alliance. But I think he genuinely sees the benefit of passing the torch and building up other players for the purpose of enriching the show as a whole, like making more better people. He knows what he did. He sees the angles. He knows what him and Bananas have been through and the way they work with producers. And I'm sure that Wes, based on the way he talks about the show, the way he talks about people in the show, as much as he has personal things sometimes, he also sees the bigger picture of the show itself and wants people to do well, I think.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. A lot of people commenting on Wes being back. So Carlos saying Wes about to get that diaper money because Wes is going to become a daddy. Congratulations to Mr. and Mrs. Bergman for that great news. Jacob saying, I hope Wes does well and win. Yeah, I'd like another Wes win. I want Wes to, it hurts me that Bananas has won more than Wes. Christina saying, Wes, unlike Bananas, always brings quality TV. I agree. Even if he goes early, it's going to be exciting. Chris is a bit bored by all these people returning each season. We have seen a lot of Wes lately. Yeah, but if you had to choose between a Wes, a Bananas, and a Durrell, it's going to be Wes, right? Wes would bring more excitement than those two.
They got all three, so
They got all three. Baby Eyes, I need Wes and Johnny team up once more. Yeah, it could be fun. We just need Bananas to be a little bit more entertaining. Can't say no quitter allowed when Jay is back. What did Jay do again? What did Jay do? I can't remember Jay quitting.
He's like, I mean, either I thought he's like no quit. He's the one like beat CT in eliminations.
Didn't Rogan quit in his first season when he was like last, and then he came back to win a season? I feel like Rogan quit on a.
I don't think he quit. I think he just got eliminated.
Cramped up or something. Yeah. Jacob says, Wes is a player with a producer's mindset. I agree. They need to get him on the show afterwards if he doesn't compete. Jacob, that's what makes him so good. Incoming 4-time champion, like that. Lauren saying Jay shouldn't be within 100 feet of the challenge. So there's something about Jay Gotti. Got you. Jay Gotti is back on All Stars 4. And he quit with Jenna when they had to do the food challenge.
Yes. Yeah.
Listen, hot take on this one, right? I feel like we as a society should learn to forgive and let go sometimes when it comes to this stuff. Like this person had this one time on the show, had a weak moment. Yes, blame them for it. But I like giving people a chance to come back, give it a red hot crack. Like Jay coming back, I bet you Jay's not quitting anything this season. I bet you that.
It's also like 10 years later.
Yeah, like I mean, should we really be like blaming people for? I know we're all big fans. We don't want people to go out there and not like do the best that they can, but there's other people that have quit as well that are like favorites of the challenge, right? Let me quickly have a look here. The Challenge All Stars season 1, right? We had who's that girl that was afraid? Katie Cooley, who's such a big fan of like the old school seasons, right? People love Katie. She quits on anything with heights.
Oh, yeah.
Darrell quits on heights. Like, where do we draw the line? Where do we draw the line if someone doesn't want to do it? And they're like, no. You know, like, I don't know. Like, I just feel give people a chance. Jay didn't drink the drink. Yeah, I remember that. We know Team Chris is Team Jay. Let's go, Chris. Chris is justifying choosing him in our draft. Hey, Jay's about to win that season, Chantal. See, people love Katie, and Katie doesn't do the high challenges. And it was a good pick. Tyler,
there's a reason Katie doesn't do the high challenges. Every time she does, she smashes her face and gets like a broken nose or whatever.
Chantal's coming from my throat here. Yeah. So, anyways, I'm happy. I'm happy to see Wes back. Alternates. These people we don't know if they'll make it. Kayla and Cinco from last season. Listen, I'm a Kayla fan. Kayla's been on the podcast before. She's very friendly to talk to in the DMs and stuff like that. So I'm always happy for her to be in the conversation as a fan of the challenge. So I'm not angry at seeing her, but I guess there'll be some people who wouldn't be happy with her quitting at the end as well and not finishing. Or did she finish? I feel like Sarah Lucina was the only one who finished last season for the women, and Danny was the only person who finished for the men. Yeah, maybe. So, but I'm okay with that. Cinco was fun last season. I feel like Cinco should have been ahead of some of these vets coming back. Like I would have rather seen Cinco than Darrell this season. Yeah, because he had some promise last season. I would have liked to have seen how he would do without Cachet being out there.
Yeah, absolutely. He looked like he could really do some stuff physically as well. Like if we're worried about challenges for Fessy and stuff like that, Cinco could have been the big horse that you put up against Fessy kind of thing when you need at least one big bopper to go against each other.
I definitely think Cinco and even Kayla, I think could have been on there in front of maybe like some of the people we've seen a lot recently. Maybe just to continue to build that persona or legend around her. Who else do we have here? Hannah Chatter from Big Brother 23 and Joseph Abden. Joseph was mentioned earlier and people were saying that he should have been ahead of the person that they did end up choosing from that season who cheated on Taylor, or even having them both out there would have been interesting just because they kind of have both sort of seen the same girl. I think could have been an interesting dynamic. But a lot of people I've seen online have said that Joseph is too nice of a guy, maybe a bit bland personality-wise. So maybe that's why they didn't go with him, but he's in the conversation. And then Hannah, if I remember correctly, in chat, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I believe she's half South African. Like, so, I mean, I got to support that. I got to support Hannah just based on the fact that I'm South African. So it's a shame she's not there, but I don't know how she would have done on the physical stuff on the challenge, really. Because, again, I didn't watch that whole season, but I don't remember her being a beast at the physical stuff.
She come in with automatic, like, diplomatic immunity?
No, she did not. Chris, given to trying his best South African accent there. Chris say Joseph is more boring, but Monte is the worst person. Yeah. Sandy says, I understand Kayla, but I don't understand Lulu as alternates. Let's have a look. So Lulu is also in the conversation. Kylan's also... Kylan! How did Kylan not make the season? Like, I know some people who don't like Kylan, but I thought Kylan was, like, pretty solid if you only looked at his Challenge USA season last season.
He did. He had a good season. He should have been in there as well, for sure.
I think Kylan should have been above, like, a Bananas. Like, just bring Kylan back. Give a new young person, a new person who wants... And Kylan wants it so bad. He wants to be a part of the main show. So let him earn his stripes again. I heard that he was dropped last minute for the Challenge USA as well, potentially, for Ben.
Oh, really? Okay.
There's some rumors out there. Yeah.
He was an alternate for World Championship, was he, maybe?
I heard some rumors. I don't know how true it is, but, So it's twice now. And then Lulu from The Amazing Race 33. Lulu and Lala was a lot of fun. I love both of them. I've also interviewed both of them on the channel. They're super friendly. I don't know how she's going to translate. If she was to play, how she would translate to the challenge. No idea. Great personality.
Yeah, I
been a lot
that.
Of fun. Yeah.
Doesn't feel like a challenger, though, right?
No, I just don't know if it's the right fit. I'd rather see Lulu go and do Survivor, but I don't know if she wants to do Survivor.
Although, to be fair, I said the same thing about Kayla and Leo. I thought they weren't challengers, but I think they had Leo had a good season. He didn't perform well, but he had a fun season on TV.
Jacob here saying, I think Colin being an alternate is a big miss. He delivers strategy and competitiveness, and he's a fan of the show. I agree with that. So, yeah, there we have it. Those are the people that are rumored to be on the Challenge USA. Having had a look at that cast, knowing that apparently this is only going to be on Paramount Plus, not CBS this time, from what I've seen. Because obviously they've got some people that are not CBS previous players. How do you feel about the show? Do you think it's going to be another slam dunk season? Do you think we're going to see some explosiveness? I feel like there's potential, right? There's some concerns, but there's definitely enough potential in this season as well with who they've casted.
Yeah, for sure. I'm interested to see how it plays out with the MTV vets coming in. Because we've said that's a little bit funny as well. When I know you're not a fan of that, you want to keep USA separate, so it becomes that breeding ground for the main show. But I am interested to see how, especially coming off of a season like World Championships, where we're now currently seeing Johnny or Bananas not having his way and people standing up to him, and then rolling into a season like this, does it become again like where, well, I've just come off that season, I know I'm not going to have the same sway, the same where I just go, hey, I'm Bananas, do what I say kind of thing. So maybe it might be a little bit different. He might come in, they might be coming in going, I realize this is not the MTV version where we are the automatic kings with him and Wes and Darrell and the vets. Maybe we do need to play hard. I hope it's an explosive season like that. So it's interesting. I actually read a really interesting article today, which I thought was fascinating. I'm not sure where it goes because I've heard some people say that they were a bit worried about bringing the MTV people onto the CBS version, and the fact that it's not even on CBS for that matter means that it might be worrying signs for the flagship and maybe even MTV as a whole. Because I think
they're trying to find a new home potentially for the show.
And if that's the case, then this is probably a good thing. It means that they're seeing that even if they believe that MTV is in itself, because basically now MTV is the ridiculous channel with the challenge every now and then, the challenge and Teen Mum, and then ridiculousness the rest of the time, right? So they just show one show over and over and over again, and it's not really the channel that generates new shows constantly anymore. And if MTV does kind of go by the wayside, it shows that the CBS and Viacom see something in the challenge and are trying to put it on a new platform so it does have a future beyond MTV, which I thought was an interesting take.
It's interesting because we know that all TV shows are moving to more digital platforms. We know streaming is becoming bigger. We know that having, like, even maybe in the potential seasons, like the spoilers are out there so quickly. Like, you have to really work to dodge them, right? So I work very hard to dodge them. Most of the time I post and ghost on Twitter now because Twitter is not safe. You try and, like, just unblock and mute as many people as you can, but there's always people popping up, so now I'm very much post and ghost. And I as soon as I think anybody's trying to spoil, I try and stay out of it because it's not fun for me to know the results of any of these seasons. But maybe the answer to this is to have seasons just drop on Paramount Plus and just having all the episodes out there. For content creators, it's going to suck because you don't have that week to digest and talk about it and engage with the fans of the show about it. But I think that the future is streaming services and having episodes there. It's kind of where everybody is going. Normal cable TV is just not doing as well. It's struggling. So I'm not surprised that they're trying to find a home for the show. So you might be onto something there. We just lost Kahuna there, I think, again. Sandy's saying, I just hope that these CBS people don't just pay for the MTV vets and target them ASAP. I agree with you on that. I do hope that we see some competitiveness from the CBS players. The problem that I have when you've got half and half seasons like they have here, and this happens on Survivor all the time as well, which is why I don't like half and half seasons on Survivor, is that when you bring veterans or returning players back, they've got a commonality that bonds them together, that makes them a big alliance. Where the new players coming in, you do have some seasons now of Big Brother and Survivor, but there's less that bonds them together as this force against the returning players. So I feel like there's a good chance that the MTV players will just take the lead by the fact that they're going to have each other's back and be like, we can't have these new kids play the game and outwit us, out here. So that's my fear for it. Any final thoughts there, Kahuna, before we end this live stream? It's been great going over all this news from the week.
Let me run one thing by you because I thought it was a really interesting thing. What we've just done now with the cast assessment and going through a website that has the spoilers, like GamerVev on Twitter and all that is constantly doing this. Do you think there's an opportunity for MTV, CBS, Viacom, whatever? Every season the cast gets spoiled. Every season we see photos at the airport. Every season we see the list, and then it's up to podcasts and stuff to break it down. Could they take advantage of it and actually have either a live event or even a show event at the airport where people actually, first up, we've got a legend of the game, 7-time winner, the GOAT, Johnny Bananas. And then you do a little bit of a red carpet interview and you actually reveal the cast as part of the show. Like make it a thing where, like, it seems like here's an opportunity for the TV show where people are obviously
try and create hype.
In this sort of thing. Yeah, try to create hype. We're interested in it. We want to be into it. And they let the internet take it. They let the internet take it all and just claim it when there's a chance there to actually get more content out of it rather than 2 episodes of reunion. Why not have an episode of a preseason? You know what I mean? Like to do a little bit of that into it and have a big reveal as to who's going in. I know it might be a few months before the final show's edited and that if they want.
But everybody knows, like all the hardcore fans know in any case. And I think the other thing that it sort of brings up is that should we have like second chances format for the challenge where the audience gets to vote? Which one of these 3 legends do you want to see this season? Darrell, Jordan or Bananas or Wes? Which one would you want to vote into the game this time? So get it more interactive with the fans. So the fans have a say. Which one of these Big Brother players between Fessy, Casey and Josh, only one of these 3 can make it. Vote for the one you want to see or something like that, where you create these hype of it. Which player do you want to bring back from the edge that have not been on for like 10 seasons? And you have, Evelyn out there versus Cara Maria versus, do something. There's something you can do. The fans are there. The fans want to engage. So I think it's a brilliant idea, Kahuna. And I also think that it is a great way for us to end this live stream. We will be back to talk about more challenge and Survivor content in the near future. But Chris agrees with you. Says, I agree. We need things to make the show more fun and make us want to talk about it online. Baby I says, Viewers' Choice Challenge Fessy will never be back with a sad face. Maybe I was the only person who's sad about that. But yeah, I think that there's a lot more that we could talk about. But this has been a great live stream, such a great impromptu live stream. I'm so happy that we had about 40 people watching us consistently live throughout this stream as well, taking part in the conversation. So clearly I can see people love this. So we need to do more of these just impromptu live streams and talk about some topics that are not necessarily related to the episodes that are happening as the season continues. But if you love this, consider subscribing if you're new to the channel. We've got plenty more Survivor content, Australian Survivor content, and challenge content dropping out on the next couple of days. And for now, I'm just going to say goodbye. Thank you so much. Have a great evening, and we'll talk to you guys towards the end of the week. Bye.